Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be on the new Tarte Clay Play 2 palette. I know I'm interrupting my Best of 2017 video series to get this video in, but this has just been sitting here in front of me waiting for me to talk about it. I just couldn't wait anymore to get my thoughts to you guys. Do you need it? Is it a good multitasking palette to have? And I want to compare it to Clay Play 1, which is a palette that I absolutely love. It's in my Best of 2017 palettes video, and I've done 2 dedicated videos on the Clay Play 1 palette. I just think it's a great multitasking palette to have. I'll link those above and down below as well. That's my dog spazzing out back there. He does that sometimes. You'll get used to it if you haven't watched my videos before. If you are not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you haven't done that already so that you're notified when I upload, and go ahead and like this video. I'm going to start off by saying that I like Tarte as a brand, and I have a lot of success with most of the Tarte products that I have tried. I actually have had some Tarte products in a bin so that I could do an overall Tarte brand video, and I want to get your suggestions. If you could leave me a comment down below on how you want me to do that brand video. Should I do an overall brand video overview on the products that I've tried? I haven't tried everything because they launch stuff constantly, but I've tried a lot of stuff over the past few years that I think I can give you guys a good summary on what I think, or I could do a top 5 and bottom 5, really narrow it down, or I could just do a best of and worst of. Let me know how you guys want me to do that, and I would be happy to do it that way. I just can't quite figure out how I want to structure that video at this point, and I would love to get your suggestions. So on launch day, I placed my order for the Clay Play 2 palette. I was so excited. You couldn't get it in person, not anywhere near me anyway, so I had to order it from Sephora, and it came fairly quickly with a shattered highlighter. If you follow me on Snapchat or Instagram, you saw that and how disappointed I was. I got on the phone with Sephora and they were really helpful. It was partially a packing issue. It was only packed with 1 layer of thick bubble wrap on the bottom, the palette, and then their paper stuffing on top. It should have been packaged better, especially for being a palette. So no questions asked. They shipped me out another palette really quickly. It was, I think, 2 days later, I got the new palette. And again, it had a broken highlighter. I was so disappointed, but I have been reading cases of people having shattered highlighters happen to them. It was not just me. I actually saw a review from another YouTuber where it shattered on her as she was using the palette. I'm gonna link that video below because I was kind of shocked at that. So this highlighter in the Clay Play 2 palette seems really delicate. I was originally going to try and get another palette sent, but when I was on the phone with customer service, because again, it was a packing issue. Again, they packed it the same way. They did not repack it any differently like they said they were going to. I decided, you know, I'm not gonna get a 3rd palette sent. I'll wait and get it in person. And then I decided, you know, no, I am just going to do this review on this palette. I pressed my highlighter in here as best as I could. Some of the highlighter did stay intact and I put that on the top, but this review can easily be done with this the way it is. So I hope you don't discount my entire review because of this highlighter, but that does have something to do with this review because I do think that the highlighter is the most delicate highlighter I've ever seen Tarte put out, and that's part of the review. If these highlighters are arriving shattered regularly, that's an issue. So I have to just get that out of the way. That was my first impression of the palette, was 2 shattered highlighters in a row. I had a viewer tell me that she had 3 arrive broken in a row. I've had a lot of feedback come from you guys telling me that you had your highlighters arrive shattered, and that's just a little weird to me. So I'm just gonna go through this video and tell you my impressions of the palette, how it differs from Clay Play 1, how it's the same, and what I think of it overall. The first thing I thought when the first one arrived was it's the same outer packaging. If you have both of these palettes, you literally cannot tell the difference in the 2 unless you look on the back at the sticker and you see that there is a Clay Play 1 and Clay Play 2 written on the stickers. And that is the only way that you can see the differences in the two from the outside. I've never seen this done before, ever, ever, ever. So that was a little weird. So after I repressed the highlighter in and cleaned off my second Clay Play palette, once I decided I was gonna go ahead and keep it and do my review, I realized that the names are the exact same from palette to palette. I hope you can see that and it's not too reflective in the monitor, but just for an example, this shade here is called Onyx, and in Clay Play 2, this shade here is called Onyx. This shade is called Timber, and this shade, the highlighter, is called Timber. This is Smoke, this is Smoke. That's a little strange if you ask me. Again, I've never seen that done before. I have seen no explanation from Tarte as to why they reused the same exact packaging. I can only think this is some money saving issue. It's strange because obviously some of the shades in Clay Play 2 do not correlate with the names at all. If you look at Clay Play 2, the 3 top matte shades are the exact same from palette to palette, and the 3 long shades, matte shades, are the same. That is what stayed the same, along with this bronzer in each palette. Everything else changed. The 3 shimmer shades, which are this middle row right here, and then they changed out, of course, the highlighter and the blush, which was the contour shade and then this deep shade before. So I'm going to show you some swatches on my hand for these palettes. I'm going to have Clay Play 1 on top and Clay Play 2 on the bottom, just so you can see the shades from palette to palette and groups. The first group is here, the second group is this section right here, and the third is going to be right here. In the first group, you've got the shade Journey and Solstice that stay the same. Stone, which makes sense in the first palette, has changed to a shimmer shade. The quality is nice, the color is nice, and Terracotta, the bronzer, is the same. That is what I use for a bronzer in Clay Play 1. In group 2, Dunes is what I use for my brows a lot, and it stayed the same for the most part. The tone's a little bit different. Sand is pretty much the same. Smoke, which is a smoke shade in Clay Play 1, is now a light shimmer shade. Not very smoky, if you ask me. And then what I used for the contour palette, which made this palette really versatile when it was Clay Play 1, is now a blush. So there's no contour in Clay Play 2. Ember is still the same shade in Clay Play 2. Instinct is fairly similar in Clay Play 2. Onyx, which was an Onyx Black in Clay Play 1, is now a warm mid-tone shimmer shade in Clay Play 2. And Timber, which was a kind of a darkish, warm brown in Clay Play 1. I actually really like to line with this shade, and it was nice if you had a darker skin tone and you wanted a contour. It's gone, and it is this powdery highlighter, and it's not just powdery because I pressed it back in. Even people who have not had the highlighter shatter on them have said that this is a very powdery, chunky highlighter. So the quality of this highlighter is questionable. I think what they could have done with this palette is either put a better quality highlighter in here and completely left this shade out. What is this called? Smoke. They could have left that same smoke shade from the first palette in here, because if you have darker brows, what are you going to do your brows with if you really like to use this for your brows? I use Dunes for my brows sometimes, but if I was brunette, that's gone. So that took that versatility out. It also took the contour out and put a blush in. My hopes for this palette were to have a palette that was a good multitasking palette and one that I could travel with. I can't travel with this palette because the highlighter is too delicate for me to travel with. So it's a palette that I can have sitting here, but the highlighter is really useless because it is so apparent on the skin. It just doesn't look good. So you have a blush, but you don't have a highlighter. So you're gonna have to take a highlighter with you. You have a blush, but you don't have a contour. So you're gonna have to take a contour with you. I think that if you have Clay Play 1, you definitely don't need this. If you have Clay Play 1 and In Bloom, you most definitely don't need this palette, because really you've got all the matte shades that you need and you've got the shimmer shades. I actually swatched the 3 shimmer shades and some shimmer shades from the Toasted palette as well as In Bloom, so that you could see how similar you could go if you had those two palettes or one of those two palettes. And you could get a pretty similar look on the lid if you had one of those two palettes and possibly this and a blush, because to me this highlighter is pretty lackluster. So at least if you have the clay plate, which is still available by the way, you can at least have the contour in here, use your own blush, and then get a shimmer from another palette. That's just my opinion. I really wish I had liked this more because I was so excited about it. The quality of the matte shadows is good, just like in Clay Play 1. The quality of the shimmers is good as well. This one has a little bit more chunkiness and powderiness than the other two shimmers, but it's not terrible or anything. You just have to pat it in a little bit better. For me, this is not a necessary palette. I'm very happy with the way Sephora handled the customer service. They did credit me back the cost of the palette because of the shattered highlighter, which was nice. I'm disappointed in the quality of the highlighter and the fact that it's basically useless to me, that I can't travel with it. It's not the all-in-one multitasking palette that I had hoped it would be. It's not as much of a compliment to this as I thought it would be. What I had hoped that Tarte was coming out with was a more comprehensive version of this, maybe with the blush. What I would have liked to have seen is change these two contours to one universal contour, like one of the Marc Jacobs contour shades. It seems to work so well for everybody. And then change one of these out to a blush. Leave the bronzer, change one of these lid shades out to a highlighter, and then change maybe this shade out to a mid-tone shimmer, like a Stila Kitten shimmer shade. I think that would have been more universal than what they did. I think that they really cut corners with the packaging, and that was so disappointing to me. I'm just not feeling it like I thought I would, and I was so excited about it. This was just a disappointing launch for me, and I find it very strange that this product is not available on their website. They have done nothing on their social media to promote it whatsoever. It's just, the whole thing is really bizarre to me. So, I apologize for the negativity. I do like Tarte overall as a brand, but this palette is just a dud for me. So anyway, if you have tried it and you have a totally different perception of it, please let me know. Again, leave me your suggestions below for how you feel I should do my Tarte brand overview, which will be, by and large, way more positive than this review was. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you are not following me on social media, I'll have that on the screen and down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and informative for you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah.